it was because they were too scared to come to school.
Yeah.
And so this incident basically led me to start exploring immigrant rights. I went to the border and volunteered, for a place called No Más Muertes, No More Deaths, and just really became aware and angry about the way people are treated on our border and the way like hardworking immigrants are treated in our communities, and just like decided to go to law school so I could get the sharpest tools I possibly could to fight back and to help them and to make our community like a better place for immigrants to live and thrive.
So you took activism kind of to like a whole new level. So you took your so have you always been an activist?
No.
No?
No.
So when did you start becoming like more involved with activism? And
when this
happened.
happened.
When this happened.
Yeah, and I got mad as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm smart. I'm privileged. I had the money to go to school, and I thought, like, how do I put all my resources towards figuring out this issue? I mean, this is 15 years ago almost.
Yeah.
And you know, here we are. But yeah, this was I just when I talk to students and I talk to graduates, I'm like, oh my gosh, like if you're not passionate about something in school, like I wasn't. But then these things happened that sparked my anger and sparked my rage, and I think that's happening to a lot of people right now as they become aware of border issues. Yeah.
So you went to law school, you finished law school, and then how long has Santa Fe Dreamers Project been established? When did that start?
We started like 5 years ago. I got a grant to work with this program called Adelante that works with families experiencing homelessness in Santa Fe.
I've worked with them before.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
And I got a grant to start practicing like a little bit of law to help dreamers. That's why it's called Santa Fe Dreamers Project.
Right.
And it was just like me with a backpack going around through our high schools asking basically immigrant kids, like, do you need a lawyer?
Do you need some help?
Yeah.
Like this person with a backpack walking through school, like, who let them in the building?
Yeah, but it was me. Believe me, I was a public school teacher in Santa Fe Public Schools for 4 years. So I was Miss Love, actually. And they're like, hey, Miss Love. I'm like, hey, I'm a lawyer now. You need help? Anyway, I built up a caseload and started out on my own at Santa Fe Dreamers Project, just trying to do those services to help dreamers. But then the president was elected, and we had to pivot, and we really had to respond to the needs of our community and what people are afraid of, what people need in terms of protection. You know, we expanded into detention centers, we expanded onto the border, basically as a response to the attack that the Trump administration was posed to our immigrant and refugee communities.
Okay.
But actually, my first work in detention started under the Obama administration.
So this started before.
In 2014, Obama reopened family detention centers in the United States, and one of them was here in Artesia, New Mexico. So as I was starting Santa Fe Dreamers Project, I was also getting really, really involved with the national fight to end family detention and fight the Obama administration. So basically, I was building all those skills, and then I was doing this professional project, and then when Trump was elected, we merged them to this massive, sprawling organization now that we have from El Paso all the way up here.
Great. So tell me a little bit more about your organization. So you started Santa Fe Dreamers Project, and now how many staff people do you have that are on the ground?
I truly don't know. It's like somewhere between 20 and 25 at this point. We have contractors who work in Guatemala.
Yeah.
We have, I have contractors who are doing all kinds of crazy things. We're actually running a halfway house basically for people coming out of asylum jail in Albuquerque. But anyway, we have I think 8 lawyers if you count me. I just hired a lawyer yesterday, and I'm raising money right now to hire another lawyer hopefully tomorrow. We have a lot of students who work for us for the summer, people who want to come and be inspired and learn what radical lawyering looks like. But yeah, about 20 people. We have, it's growing and expanding and shifting basically with the dynamics of the problems and the attacks shifting around the country.
Yeah. Well, just in the time that I've known you, I know that your group started out pretty small, and just in this time to have that many people on board in just a couple of years.
I mean, this is coming from Meow Wolf, right? That was 10 anarchists 3 years ago, and now it's
how did this happen? But I'm just saying, to get people that are that inspired, that that really want to commit to this cause, this issue. I'm floored by that. I'm really amazed.
Well, you know what it is? I mean, it's not us. It's a massive amount of support that we have from our community. Yeah. Like, I can't expand just because of my heart and my good nature. Like, I have to expand because of cold hard cash. And we are able to offer free legal services to refugees and immigrants in all these places and be there expanding and working on the ground, on the front lines, because we are funded by our community who believe in the same values we do, that immigrants make us stronger. We don't go in for this, like, charitable, like, oh, they deserve not to be treated like criminals. That's, like, you don't impress me when you say that. I mean, we'll still take your money, but, like...
Well, it starts with heart, and then money helps. Like, money helps to execute.
We don't just believe that people deserve to be treated decently. We know that immigrants invigorate our economy, our culture, our families. Like, we know that these people are our neighbors. They make good... like, we want it all, right?
I'm just going to start doing...
And so, like... When people invest in our legal services, they're not just investing in charity so people don't get hurt. I mean, that's what they get. But also this idea that, like, we are making an investment in, like, a stronger Santa Fe, a stronger New Mexico, a stronger U.S., because this is the way our country's always been.
Yeah, and this is how it was founded.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really going back to the roots. But, yeah, it does start with heart, it starts with the passion, and then money. Money is needed to make things happen. I know that nonprofit world, money is really important. So, and we're going to get to the ways that you can help support your group. But so I just want to, like, recap. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the media and social media, and I'm sure a lot of people tuning into this are educated and informed to a certain degree of what's going on. But what can you tell us, since you are constantly on the ground, going back and forth? I mean, just to get you here today was, I mean, a miracle. It's like, are you available this time this day? Yeah, just by chance. I'm taking off tomorrow. Literally. So, like, what can you tell us about what's going on? Yeah, what's going on right now, and why is it so bad currently? Because this has been an issue that's been going on for a while. I know this. Personally, I know this started happening before the Trump administration, but why is it so awful currently, right now?
Okay, so as I climb onto my soapbox, I'm gonna, like, stare directly into the camera as I say this, because if you, like, learn nothing from this whole broadcast except this one thing, like, I will win. And this is it. There is no illegal way to seek asylum in the United States. There's no sentence that makes sense where someone is asking for political asylum illegally. International law says that you can come to a country and ask for political asylum. It is the only way to do it. There are no third-party countries in the Western Hemisphere. There's no refugee camps. From Chile to Canada, there's no refugee camps you can go to and declare your intention to ask for refuge or sanctuary. You have to show up in a country, and you can do that by knocking on the door, going to the port of entry, or you can do that by crossing the border without permission. That is what seeking asylum is. There's no normal way to do it. That is the way. Okay. If you've learned that, if that's the one thing you take away from it, you can now use your voice to tell people when they are talking about the illegal aliens, or when they're saying these people deserve to be treated like that because they've broken the law. They haven't broken the law. They're following international protocol developed after the Holocaust by the United Nations and all the signatory countries, which we are one of. This is the protocol pertaining to refugees that they have laid out in international law, and it's codified into U.S. law in 1980. Okay, so no laws are being broken. Let's just start with that.
No laws are being broken. Okay, so that's the takeaway here.
In this flow of laws not being broken, essentially what's happening is there's an extremely poorly designed system to receive asylum seekers that's based on making it as terrible as possible for them and to make them suffer as much. The hope is that if we make it really, really rough on asylum seekers, then they won't come. Okay.
So they're trying to deter people from
basically
from coming,
criminalize
from
it, deter it, put people in jail, make them suffer. This is designed as a system of deterrence, and this was really exploded under the Obama administration. Obama kind of, like, he didn't invent it, but really, like, made this whole system of deterrence through detention, detaining families, detaining children, and was like, maybe they'll not come. Well, then we get a new president who's a racist bigot, and
y'all hear that? Do we need to say that again? No,
a xenophobic, racist, nationalist bigot who now has amplified the suffering, the torture, the deterrence. And instead of people not coming, there are now like triple the amounts of people seeking asylum from Central America that there were a year ago. And the system is so poorly designed that this huge crush of volume of people on the system has turned it deadly. So
people are seeking asylum from their native countries because of turmoil that's happening on their homeland.
Violence. I mean, like it's like we don't have enough time to go into the violence. But suffice to say, again, here's a big takeaway, viewers. If we're putting people through this much suffering, the cages, the death,
the separation,
and they are still choosing to ask for protection. Rational people are choosing this over what's going on in their country. There must be something pretty fucking bad happening in their country. I have seen parents lifting their children onto freight trains at refugee camps in Mexico. When you see that, and as long as you know that that person is rational and loves and wants the best for their family, the exact same we do for our families, and they're choosing to hoist their kid onto a moving freight train, you have to understand that the thing they're running from is really, really terrible. There's this amazing poem called Home. It's by a poet called, I think her name's Orson Shire. But the opening line is, no one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. And it's just like really worth Googling that line and reading that poem to get some context on why people flee. So what we're seeing in these cages is people that are being held in spaces that are meant to hold people for like max 72 hours. And people are there for like 40 days. Children are there for like a month.
They're there for long periods of time.
And they're not set up for long-term care. There's no medical care. There's no room for hygiene. They're overcrowded. And there's people standing all the time. They're not being allowed to sleep. They're not getting properly fed. People are literally dying due to lack of medical care. And there is a system to sort people, but we're so, basically the Department of Homeland Security is totally blowing it, and we keep funding them to do it. And there's this idea, why don't we just fund NGOs and people that are skilled at humanitarian aid, I don't know, the Red Cross? Give them the money we're giving the Department of Homeland Security, because the Department of Homeland Security cannot manage this crisis. In fact, they could be intentionally doing evil things. So let's just take their money away and give them to NGO groups that actually know how to deliver humanitarian aid and not kill people.
Right. So it takes me a minute to process all of the...
This is I deal with this stuff all the time, so it rolls off of me, but
this is what you
horrible.
do day in, day out, week in, wake out, constantly. And I'm so floored and proud. I don't even know if that's the right word to describe it, but how much I am so compassionate towards your heart and your passion and your goals and everything, all the work that you're doing. And this is why we really wanted to bring you on, so people could hear the work that you're doing. So we know the severity of what's we're understanding more every day, the severity of what's going on at the border. But what can you tell us about the progress that's being made? Is there any progress that you see that's being made? Any positive steps towards the light at the end of the tunnel?
I know it's hard. This awareness is actually a big light.
Okay.
Now, whether we can sustain our energy and sustain this ability to face it and look at the face is a different thing. I mean, like you said, doing this day in, day out, confronting this suffering, confronting what our country is capable of, it takes a lot of stamina. And I think a lot of people in our country, around the world, are looking it in the face right now, but we have to be able to sustain it. So I feel this light right now, but I also wonder how long it's going to last.
How can we continue this? I see this a lot with different things that are brought to the media's attention. People get really ramped up and really passionate, and they really want to do something, but then something else comes along and kind of takes its light away. this is something that's been going on for a long time that needs to be sustainable. We need to have people continuously showing up, and we're going to get to that in a second.
Yeah, and so like that is making me happy that there are people who are wanting to engage.
Right.
Some of the things that I also see that are positive is a lot of money is being like sent to grassroots organizations on the border and elsewhere who know what they're doing. I'm seeing a lot of people say like, okay, I don't know quite what to do in this moment, but I'm going to find a trusted organization that doesn't know what to do, and I'm going to send them money. People are always like, oh my God, I can't do what you do. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. I know what I'm doing, but you're talented. You have a way to make money that you, like, just give me part of it. Use your talents to do your thing making money, and then just give me some of it. Like, you don't have to be a lawyer. It's costly and dreadful, and you go into all this debt. But, like, you do you, and then take a part of that. And so we have people like, oh, I'm a musician. I'm going to put on a show and raise money for it. I've had people throw pop-up dinners. I've had people just give me a cut of their paycheck and say, like, I worked hard for this money. Yep. So that's one of the other really positive things.
So putting your money where your mouth is can really help. And it doesn't have to be a lot, right? It doesn't have to be a lot of money.
No.
Really anything that you can give.
But and so like another positive thing is like Trump made this declaration like basically canceling asylum through regulation yesterday. The ACLU has already put the lawsuit in against it. Like we're coming off the ropes here. We are getting organized. We are learning what our powers are. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's been almost 3 years, 2.5 years of this. And I think that one of the more wonderful and upsetting parts of it all was like when the Muslim ban happened, the travel ban, and everyone went to the airport. They just crowded the JFK airport, and a judge came and like the order came down that it wasn't legal. Like we got this like false expectation that it would take like one trip to the airport to shut down the Trump administration on these issues, and then that was an awesome night, but really this is just like lawyers writing motions, people just going like I have a colleague I should say, who describes this like a starfish. Like, you know that story of like people throwing starfish into the sea and there's millions on the beach and they say, can't save all of them. He's like, but I saved that one. Yeah. You know, people who are just like taking case after case after case after case. Just activists, aid workers who are just like, every dollar, every diaper, every set of clothes, every can of food, they're just taking it moment by moment.
So people that want to donate goods, we actually had some folks that went down to the border last week or 4th of July weekend, so about 2 weekends ago. And they said that their donations weren't accepted. They couldn't find a way to give these items that people have donated, even people that couldn't be there. Is that still happening? Are there avenues that you can get things into that?
For all of these places, right? Like I can't say what people do or don't need. My advice is before you start a donation drive, before you assume with your big heart, like let's say like, oh, I'm sure they need diapers. That's an amazing, compassionate thing to do. But you don't want to use a lot of time and energy if people aren't going to take donations. Right. So what you need to do is like really find someone on the ground, get it from the horse's mouth, what they need at that moment. Okay. I was once working with a Annunciation House, which is an amazing shelter down in El Paso. Just like look them up, Annunciation House. They are doing amazing work, and they needed over-the-counter medication. And some woman was like, "But I collected all these men's jeans." I'm like, "They don't need men's jeans. They need over-the-counter medication. It's fine. We just need to be patient and take our cues from the people who are actually doing the work on the ground."
Great. Can you talk a little bit more about, you're constantly on the ground, you're constantly working with other people, other groups. What are some other groups that are doing some really amazing work that you can highlight?
Great.
So for viewers that may not be in New Mexico, but may be like viewing in from, other locations.
Sure, of course. The groups that I usually shout out to support are a couple groups in Texas, Las Americas, which is a organization out of Texas that is really, really doing a lot of work to support asylum seekers who are being turned back into Juarez right now, and their staff is amazing. So Las Americas. And Annunciation House, I just mentioned, is also a shelter out in El Paso that has just been holding it down there for 20 years, and they are just incredible. Another organization in California and Tijuana, it's a binational organization called Al Otro Lado. They have some of the fiercest immigration attorneys in Mexico and the U.S. They're like brujas of the border. They're amazing women. Another organization I support is the Cara Pro Bono Project. They help women and children who are detained in Texas. And the Southeastern Immigrant Freedom Initiative, it's called Sci-Fi. It's part of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they're helping in the Southeastern prisons. And finally, there's this organization called Innovation Law Lab, which has some of the smartest, most creative, bravest advocates I've ever known in my life, and they're working across the country to support projects like mine in getting better tech solutions, having more creative, collaborative ways to expand our abilities to reach massive amounts of people. I mean, they are incredible.
Awesome.
Of course, everyone knows about Raíces. I think it's the hugest, biggest name of immigrant rights groups. They always need their money, but remember, they're getting millions, just like the ACLU. They're always referenced, they're always getting millions. So I do encourage people to look to some of the grassroots organizations I mentioned, so that, because like, I mean, $10,000 to us is a huge, amazing thing, you know. So
let's get to the beef of this whole conversation, and something that, you know, I want to share with my folks and the people that I know, and people that are viewing in. What can people do to help? Because I think that a lot of people feel very strongly about what's going on right now, and there's a lot of confusion around like, what do I do? Like the group that went down to the border a couple weeks ago, they brought down like donations and like just basic like toiletries that because they knew that the conditions were so terrible. We're like, we'll bring down basic things that you think that people might need. But what can people do to help?
Okay, so I've been framing it this way. I just did this big speech, and I said this like 10 times during the speech. We need to use our bodies, our voices, our money, and our votes.
Let's say that one more time.
Bodies, voices, money, votes. Okay, so what does that mean in this context? And I really think this applies to like all social justice issues.
Okay.
But in the immigration context, here's how we use our bodies. You gotta show up and be physically counted.
Show up.
So we had a Lights of Liberty thing in Santa Fe. I think about 500 people came out. It was awesome. Imagine if 50,000 people had been there.
Where else can people show up tomorrow, Allegra?
Oh, we're having an event to educate the public about some of the real details and like nuts and bolts of what's going on the border. It's an educational forum. It's at the United Church of Santa Fe. I think it's at 5:30.
5:30. That's what I have on the calendar.
Yeah.
So Meow Wolfers that are tuning in, it's on the outreach calendar. Just letting you know.
Tune in.
So yeah, tomorrow 5:30, the United Church of Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like a Q&A for people to ask questions, like kind of like, you know, what we're talking about now?
Yes, it's going to be like a lengthy, engaging, and dynamic and obscenity-laden lecture from me with a lot of opportunities to ask questions.
Great. All right. So using your body. So that's one way you can use your body.
But here's another way you can use your body.
Okay.
Sometimes, especially those of us who are white, especially those of us who have privilege, those of us who are United States citizens, need to put our bodies in the way of the things that are hurting our fellow, our neighbors, you know? And like this is not what I do for a living. Nonviolent direct action is not what I do for a living. But I think there's like a lot of people who are starting to think like this. I just saw there's a group of Jewish organizers in Washington D.C. right now who are just like chaining them, a human chain around the ICE building. They're going to get arrested. but like that is an inconvenient way to use your body that is part of the American tradition. We did it in the civil rights. Like it's part of the American tradition, and it's time that we start thinking about that as a collective in this country. So use your bodies.
So body.
Show up, be counted, get arrested, be in physical spaces where your body can be used as a tool of protest.
Great. So on top of the body, your voice.
Voices.
Using your voice.
I really, really encourage people, like part of using your voice is getting educated. One way that you can get educated is show up in an event like we have tonight, to show up at meetings like Somos un Pueblo Unido is a great organization here in Santa Fe where you can start to learn and stay organized, stay collective. Get on our listserv. We have a listserv that's consumed nationally where we can point you to the right articles. We give you updates. I'm like, you can follow our socials. You can message us and we'll give you places in your town locally. Yeah. Get educated and then speak the fuck up. Don't be confused about the fact that asylum is legal. Get straight on certain points and have the courage to raise your voice. Imagine that there is an asylum seeker sitting next to you when someone says something toxic and incorrect and bigoted and xenophobic. Give them an opportunity to get on the right side of it. Say it kindly. Yeah. Give them one chance. And then the second time, tell them they're a fucking terrible person. Like,
quote.
you know what I mean? Like,
right.
You have to do it kindly, right?
Yeah.
Because not everyone knows the things that we know.
Get educated and
educate
others.
Give your neighbors a chance through kind, calm, patient education. And if they don't want to learn, then you can raise your voice against them in a nonviolent way.
I love it.
You know?
Thanks. So then let's go to the third bullet point. Using your money.
So there's two ways that I frame this out. One is donations. We can't do our work without money. And
where can you donate to Santa Fe Dreamers Project?
So we have on our social media, we just started a campaign to get a new member of our defense team. We launched it today. We raised like $10,000 in like the first day, and we're really psyched about it.
That's great.
So that's on our website. It's on all our social medias. It's a GoFundMe page. But you can also donate, like, just go to our website. It's like www.santafedreamersproject.org. And it's obviously really obvious how to make a donation.
And it's on every website. Every link you click on, it's at the bottom. So, yeah.
But then, so that's like a really important way. And like, you don't need to donate $1 million. You can donate $5 million. I mean, we spend every drop of money towards liberating people and bringing them free legal services. And so, but the other way to think about money is where your personal wealth is invested. A lot of these systems are supported with capital.
And I read about this on your website, actually.
Yeah, Prison Divest New Mexico.
Divest, yep.
And talk about, like, what does personal divestment look like? Like, Wells Fargo, for example, is one of the banks that's tied up in a lot of this. Another big example, Enterprise Rent-A-Car came out this week that they are renting vehicles to ICE to do transport of people during the raids.
Oh.
Don't use Enterprise. A lot of motel chains have been asked to house people post raids, and like they're just like, no. These companies that support the infrastructure of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security need to understand that we are not going to use them if they are not if they're supporting ICE.
Yeah.
I mean, all the detention centers, like 70% of immigration detention centers are run by correctional corporations. And a lot of our wealth is tied into those. And that's what that website is about, Prison Divest New Mexico, is about understanding how the for-profit detention network works. The Detention Watch Network is the best place to find out about that. That's a group on, you can Google it, Detention Watch Network. It's amazing. Cool. They'll teach you everything you need to know about it.
Cool. And just so we don't run out of time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
it's okay. No, it's great.
Well, once you get me going, I'm like.
Well, this is why y'all can show up tomorrow night. All right.
Sorry.
And use Allegra's website because it's very informative and it tells you where you can take action. Last bullet point. So we talked about body, voice, money. And vote.
No, okay, so like the obvious thing is don't vote for Donald Trump, but that's not it. You're missing the point. I don't worry about Republicans. I worry about Democrats. I don't affiliate myself with any political party, but I'm like, I need the people who I'm potentially going to vote for to explain to me how they're going to get us out of this mess, right? And so if you're trying to get my vote in 2020, I need you to, like all those billions of Democrats who are out on stage squabbling.
I think it's 2 billion, actually.
Yeah. I need a clearly articulated plan of how you were going to pull me out of this mess. I know that the Trump and the Republicans are not going to do it.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren, Kamala, Mayor Pete, Bernie, you guys, I need to hear from your mouth why and how you like not why, but like how you're going to change it. There's a lot of lip service paid to the fact that concentration camps are evil or dreamers are good. Yeah, everybody agrees. Now it's time to be like, we're voting you into Congress or into the executive. You need to tell us how you're actually going to change it. Are you going to abolish ICE? Are you going to defund ICE?
Yeah.
Are you going to, like, what laws are you going to pass?
And local voting. Local voting is also,
like, local voting is important on this issue.
It starts,
because this is mostly, the detention stuff is the federal stuff. But, like, I was just mentioning to you this off camera. Immigrant rights are not just about the border. They're about housing rights, school rights, all sorts of issues of justice. So when you say you're into immigrant rights here in Santa Fe, that means you need to show up at our city council meetings and vote for affordable housing, right? And fair housing laws.
Which I just did the other week.
Yeah.
And it passed, so that's
You need
cool.
to show up at our school board meetings and make sure that like everyone is being represented in this school district that probably has like 40% immigrant families. And so like, yes, act locally. Don't expect that the local stuff is going to have a huge impact on our southern border, but it will have a huge impact of the lives of people that live here. Our sanctuary policy in Santa Fe is amazing and is protecting families every single day, and that happened locally. And so, bodies, voice, money, vote.
Y'all got that? So I could talk to you over and over and over all day, all night, as long as you're available anyway. But we're gonna wrap up this episode of Meow Wolf Live Community Voices, and I really cannot emphasize enough like how much I respect the work that you're doing, you and your staff and everyone else out there that's showing up, that's getting involved, that's putting their money where their mouth is. It's very important. This is really important to me, and I'm so proud to have you on this first episode.
This is the first episode?
This is the first episode, girl. This is, you raised that bar like right to the top. So so thank you everyone for tuning in. And again, if you want to find out more about what Allegra's doing and her staff is doing, santafedreamers.org.
I know. Well, also because you said it was important that we talk about our work with transgender women.
That as well.
And so click around, explore that. We're doing an immense amount of work with detained trans women. And like you'll find it all on our website. We have great narratives, great ways to help, and like just I know that this is a huge priority of folks at Meow Wolf to talk about this, so we'll get to it in future
and
actions
thank
together.
you for putting that on your website about how to support our trans family. So that's really important. So on that note, we're going to close this out, but thanks for tuning in.